Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 100, written by Clawztrophobia. A death, a service, and a recipe for Relish, Grandpa's parting gift. This happened in December 2020. Backstory. On December 11th, 2004, my grandfather passed away. I was 13. Almost immediately, the 3 sons and 3 daughters tore the family in two and continued to feud. In February 2011, my grandmother passed away while I was deployed overseas. I was 20. The 3 sisters sold off the house and hoarded the family recipes and heirlooms. I only wanted one thing. I wanted my grandfather's dog tags. Being the only grandchild to serve in the military, it was something that meant a lot to me. Sadly, I was told that I would not appreciate them and was essentially dismissed, so I never asked for anything else. After I was honorably discharged from the United States Marine Corps, I pursued a career as a chef. Over time, I started to really want to recover certain family recipes. I had cut ties with the family, because I wasn't going to pick sides, and I either wanted the family to be together or I didn't want to be a part of it. I haven't been in contact in years. My last contact was in August 2013, when barely any of the family attended my wedding. The story. The first week of December, I was talking with my brother. I only keep contact with him and my father. My brother mentioned how awesome it would have been to have the recipe for my grandparents' zucchini relish. They made it fresh with ingredients from the garden, jarred it, and it was a big hit with the family. A few days later, I was writing a letter to accompany some recipes that I was sending to a friend for Christmas. I wrote the letter while I was taking a ferry ride to an island I was to work at that day. When I finished the letter, I tucked it in a pouch that I never used in my backpack. The pouch is basically where your back meets the pack. It's open at the top and it's quite narrow. The letter remained there until the end of the week. Friday, December 11th, 2020. I returned home after work and immediately reached into that small, narrow pouch while focused on getting my house keys ready. I pull out a piece of weathered paper, confused as this isn't a letter. I am now focused on this paper while thinking to myself, what the hell? The paper is weathered, written in a blue ink, which reminded me of the cheap blue pens my grandfather kept around the house, and the handwriting is vaguely familiar. I proceeded to read and a chill goes right up my spine. It's the zucchini relish recipe that my brother and I had talked about days prior. I immediately message him, and he tells me to look at the date. It is 12/11. In other words, it's the anniversary of my grandfather's death. And one of my grandparents' recipes spontaneously appears in an unlikely place, an impossible place. I audibly thanked my grandfather as I walked into my house with the recipe in hand. Even more eerie is the fact that my brother has told me that the 3 daughters do not have possession of this recipe, and yet here it is in my possession. It's one thing to discuss something, and social media shows ads for that exact thing. It's another thing to discuss something personal and have it spontaneously appear in an unlikely place by extraordinary means. Case notes, file number 100. Thank you for sharing this story with us, and thank you for your service. I'm reminded of a past story I read where it was a little girl that appeared to them as a child, playing in a closet. Somehow, this ghost was able to conjure a pack of playing cards from nowhere. I wonder if your grandfather was able to do something similar, or if not conjure it, to transport it from another location where the recipe had already been written down and slotted into the pouch he knew you'd go looking for, but also that you never used before, so he knew you would know it's him. It's a small gesture, but one I imagine meant the absolute world to you. And now I want to know this recipe too. I've never had zucchini relish before. The author responded to my comment, saying, "You're absolutely right. It did mean the world to me. My eyes teared up once I realized what it was that I was holding. I'll be heading home soon and will upload the photo of the recipe. Instead of typing it up, I want to share the actual picture of the recipe to show how it appeared to me. It will do the story justice to show the proof. Case file number 101, written by enzobloise. The sun shining bright, eternally, and then it flickered. Hi everyone. I've never read anything about this sun flickering thing. Honestly, that's the best way I can put it. But I just found this subreddit and I wanted to understand more about this phenomenon. Is it real, a hallucination? I don't know. Have you ever noticed a sudden flicker in the light, as if you blinked so unconsciously that you caught yourself by surprise? Well, that's kind of what it feels like. When experiencing it alone, I always thought it was a sudden eye blink that I didn't see coming because I was so focused on whatever I was looking at. But there was one time where I wasn't the only one who experienced it. Me and some friends were having lunch together. The entire place was lit only by sunlight, when suddenly everything was void of light for a fraction of a second and went back to normal. My two friends looked at me, and one of them even screamed something like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" He looked confused, so I said, "No, I saw it too. The light just went off and back on," and they both agreed. We just moved on and pretended nothing happened, but it was very awkward. Years went by and I kept having similar experiences by myself, and never thought they were more than something only I saw. Something weird about me that I usually just ignored. They were rare enough. But this year, it happened again. I was with a friend in her living room, entirely lit by sunlight, and sunlight only. We were sitting on the floor painting some artwork when it happened. Honestly, I didn't pay much attention to it at first. Maybe I just got used to ignoring it. But I did see it. That was when she stopped and said, "Did you just see the whole room flicker to dark and back to light again?" She looked at me and I saw the confusion in her eyes. I said, "Yes," and told her about my experience years back with my friends at lunch. That's when my curiosity for this event grew. I know for some it may sound like a huge lie, but these are all facts and real events of my life. I'm here to share them and to know if there's anyone else out there that had a similar experience, or who has an explanation for this. Case notes, file number 101. When you were with your friend the second time in her living room, was it in the same town as when it happened the first time with your friend? I'm wondering if there's an environmental trigger involved. Most glitches seem to involve location as being a huge determining factor. Or when people deviate from their normal routines. It's as if the server is chugging to try to keep up with the unexpected choices, or environments. The author responded quickly, just saying that yes, both events happened in the same city. This is interesting, isn't it? So then yeah, it's just speculation, but I'd be really interested in knowing if this sun flicker happens in other locations. Is it tied to the person, the perception, or is it environmental? If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and feel free to watch more on my channel. I have a lot more content.